Elena.
Hi, Caroline. It's clear the president has gotten the world's attention with these tariffs. Is he considering at all potentially holding off on imposing some of them before the deadline, or maybe later, reversing them because he's having these negotiations and having these good talks with other leaders?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset.
I don't know about you, but I woke up today and the world felt a little brighter. The sun was a little warmer. The air was a bit crisper. And that's because Donald Trump caved on his stupid Trump tariff idea yesterday. And here's why that happened. First off, let us just not forget that. Yes, it's awesome that Donald Trump stopped this insane idea. I mean, there's still tariffs happening, but not to the extreme degree that they were before. So that's a side issue. But it's also awesome because Donald Trump's administration for the past 2 to 3 weeks was just saying over and over and over again that this was such a great idea. This is a great idea. The president knows what he's doing. The president will never back down. Here's Caroline Levitt, literally 2 days ago, saying that he would never delay or extend.
Elena.
Hi, Caroline. It's clear the president has gotten the world's attention with these tariffs. Is he considering at all potentially holding off on imposing some of them before the deadline, or maybe later, reversing them because he's having these negotiations and having these good talks with other leaders?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset. He expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect. And you said something very important, Elena, in your question. You said the president has captivated the attention of the world. Absolutely, he has. And it's about time we have a president in the Oval Office who is putting the world on notice and is putting the American people first, and again, is using the leverage of the United States to negotiate good trade deals.
Well, turns out he did delay. It was only 2 hours that the tariffs were in effect before Donald Trump capitulated. And this is the White House rapid response account. When someone said breaking Trump is reportedly expecting to announce a 90-day tariff, they go wrong, fake news. Turns out it was right. Real news. And Pee Wee German, Stephen Miller, said 2 days ago that you have been watching the greatest economic master strategy for an American, a president in history. No, we're watching an idiot make things up as he goes along. He's hurting real people in the process. And this is an amazing moment. I'm not going to play all of it. It's a long moment. But this is one of the people who was defending Donald Trump's tariffs in a congressional hearing. And this is an image of him learning in real time that Donald Trump was pausing the tariffs. And just here's a little bit of that moment. We've been discussing it.
If you came here knowing that you were going to be turned off, that these tariffs were going to be turned off, why didn't you include that in your opening statement? Why didn't you reference that as part of your testimony?
Well, I don't disclose my conversations with the president, sir.
These were specific questions we asked you all along. What's the strategy? These are real consequences for the American people and small businesses. I had a group of small businesses in my office earlier today talking about the impacts of these tariffs on aluminum and steel. This is amateur hour, and it needs to stop. What does this even mean for your negotiating strategy? How are you in charge of negotiation if the president is tweeting about this from wherever the hell he is?
The president was elected, and he runs the trade policy, and I advise him and execute his trade policy.
Who executes the trade policy?
I execute the trade policy.
Did you know that this was happening?
We have been discussing all kinds of
And there's another member of the cabinet, Bessent, who just canceled coming to the Hill to avoid talking about the market because it's in turmoil. This in just days because there was no strategy, there was no plan. The president chose to take actions that he didn't even have the authority to take. He's put our economy in disarray and near collapse. We have small businesses and Americans who are concerned about their well-being, people's retirement, people's 529.
That an incredible moment, right? So this guy's supposed to be the one leading the execution strategy. And he's asked, did you know about this? You're the one executing. Did you know about it? And he's like, well, we talk about a lot of things. No, he didn't know a goddamn thing. An amazing job by Rep. Stephen Horford there. So that good job there. Kara Swisser said, The opportunity for insider trading and deep corruption with this guiding nonsense is vast, as this massive stupid stupidity and unquenchable greed of Trump and his minions completes for dominance that the Nimrods of Wall Street cheer this idiocy, or rather than decry, it is a testament to their woo-bars. That is very, very good. All right, I have more reactions to this, but let's get into this story real fast. Well, I think it's not, I don't know if it's necessarily fascinating, but it is interesting that the Wall Street Journal reportedly knows what happened and why this all happened. Spoiler alert. It's because Donald Trump's a weak man and he got scared. He actually doesn't believe in anything, but let's just get into it. Bet was flooded with worried calls from Wall Street over the weekend, and it felt strongly he had to persuade Trump that a pause was needed. It wouldn't be a capitulation, he argued, because they were going to have so many deals. It's like treating a toddler. He revealed little publicly about why the president and his team waited until Wednesday afternoon to enact it, with Trump saying that he decided on the move. Wednesday Morning has said more than 75 countries have reached out, seeking a deal to erase tariffs, to ease tariffs with Japan. Quote, at the front of the queue. And it goes on to say Trump also was swayed by the stock market in the prey of business leaders, expressing concerns about the tariffs. Over the past few days, executives and lobbyists had flooded White House Chief of Staff Susie Wild's phone. According to a person close to her, a White House aide noted that it was standard LA. The message delivered to Trump and his top advisors by chief executives was, they need to find an off-ramp. So, Donald Trump's a little. Trump played his cards close to his vest. He told advisors that he was willing to take pain. A person who spoke to him on Monday said he privately acknowledged that his trade policy could trigger a recession. He knew that this could trigger a recession, but he said he wanted to make sure it didn't cause depression according to people familiar with the conversations. So, banking officials frustrated at the apparent lack of influence with the administration turned to Republican lawmakers in recent days to lobby Trump on the tariffs. According to people familiar with the matter, their message was that Trump was going to tank the economy. Trump was also in listening mode, but keep in mind this is a Rupert Murdoch publication, and so they're going to do this as favorably as possible. Which is why when the folks who are close to this wanted to speak to someone, they spoke to a reporter who would actually cover this, at least a little favorably. Over the past few days, he has been asking friends and advisors about the markets, and he indicated he was closely watching them. On Tuesday evening, Trump said he absorbed the bad news about a plummeting bond market. Quote, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy, Trump said Wednesday about the bond market. So it's all because of rich people getting pissed off about Donald Trump. So I guess what we have learned from this is that if we want change to happen in this country, we just have to get rich people on board. I don't know how we do that, but that seems to be the only people that he's listening to. This is an amazing question Donald Trump was asked. What's your credibility like because of these tariffs on Monday? You said, pause. Say there's a pause. How can people believe your words today? I love that this person asked this question. I mean, it's a kind of a obvious question to ask, but also like one that we should be used to by now. That Donald Trump doesn't believe in anything. He says whatever he wants, and you can't trust him.
What's your credibility like? Because you said that these tariffs would go into effect on Monday. You said no pause, and today there is a pause. So how can people believe your words today?
It's not a question of that. You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what. And keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know that better than anybody, right? You got to go around them sometimes. You're not going to go through them. So I consider, I think in financial markets, because they change. Look how much it changed today.
No, he cannot be trusted at all. And here he is asking about the bond market, being persuaded of why he reverse crushed. And he said, I was watching the bond market. It's very tricky. If you look now, it's beautiful. The bond market now is beautiful. But I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I'm just going to put this guy in here, Anthony Scaramucci, the guy that was literally White House communications director for, I think, 9 days. Don't trust this guy, because here's what he said. He said, Secretary Bent was handled a very difficult situation extremely well. He appears he finally got through to Trump and wrestled the tariff away from Navarro. countering China's unfair trade practices. Makes sense, but should be done with backing of allies. This guy's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. I do not trust this guy. And I also don't understand why we listening to this man when he was Committee White House Communications Director for 9 days, he was unqualified for that position. So now we have to be subjected to his opinions for the rest of our life. He's still a Republican through and through. And Donald Trump said after he put the tariffs on pause, look at what he said about how the increase of the stock market was been.
This was something certainly we've been talking about for a period of time, and we decided to pull the trigger. And we did it today, and we're happy about it. I didn't know it would have that kind of an impact, but it's, I think they have the biggest increase in the history of the stock market. That's pretty good. That's pretty, you're almost, if you keep going, you're going to be back to where it was 4 weeks ago. But it was a sick market 4 weeks ago, because this trade was sick. It was only a question of time. I don't blame the tariffs. I think the tariffs just sort of magnified what was happening. It was sick. Biden allowed these people to get away with murder. Biden allowed...
Amazing that he admits that it's still down from where it was when he started this entire insane plan. And I'm going to put this up, as Madagascar said, peas on the floor, cleans up half the pea. Brilliantly done, sir. Yeah. So this is the process. We find ourselves. Now Trump makes a stupid decision. Something really bad happens. Trump convinces his followers the problem is now magically solved. He reverses the stupid decision. This is our life cycle for the next 4 years. But I think this is at least a great day because it just goes to show that Donald Trump can be persuaded after a lot of pain, and apparently it's billionaires who can do the persuading. So we just have to figure out how to get billionaires to start pushing back on all of Trump's insane things, like pushing people into El Salvador and anything else unconstitutional. But I hope you're enjoying your day, because today's the day we won, and he lost.